his name like that. Your host like that because it sounds so like fucking formal. Okay, wait, hello? Be like, welcome to the What We Don't Know podcast with your hosts, Ollie Evely and Lisa Sabah.
What We Don't Know show.
Have you ever heard of a divorce because of people? One of the couples is like hosting a podcast and it's caused a rift between them and their partner.
Yeah.
They're like, you're always recording episodes.
No, I've heard podcasts bring couples closer together.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Saad, welcome to the show.
Saad, hi.
Hi, what's up?
How old are you, man?
26.
What's your horoscope?
My horoscope?
Mm.
Pisces.
Pisces.
Is that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Issa?
It's a fish, right?
By the way, Saad is Issa's brother.
Hi.
You've met before.
Two fishes.
It's
Two
Yeah,
fishes.
two fishes.
It matters that it's
No,
two
no.
fishes? I guess it does.
Yeah.
So the Gemini twins.
Wait, does it?
Do you guys know all the...
Aquarius is more water, right?
Yeah, it's a woman with a jug pouring it out.
Mm.
I'm sure there's a reason for all of the symbolism.
Issa, I thought you would be...
I'm really into it.
Yeah.
I thought so too, but
You're not.
no, I
This
am.
seems like
I
one of your
think you-
things.
I'm into it. I just don't know much about it.
Oh.
I'm really into it.
No.
actually.
Mystery.
Those two things are complete opposites. You're into it but don't know about it.
It's like
Into it is knowing
oh,
about
come on.
it.
It's like someone watching Game of Thrones, but they don't even know who. Like, how's Jon Snow related to
That was me.
Daenerys?
I watched the last
Like,
episode.
like really into the show. Like, it's fun, but I just don't know what's happening.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that with certain movies.
Yeah, I love the tarot. You know,
Mm-mm.
the tarot cards.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But do you
Tarot,
know
yeah.
much about it, actually?
Tarot. No. So when I first got it, like, I just was like, you know, this is because I guess like you grow up in this region thinking like that kind of stuff is like not to
Frowned
be nice.
upon.
Yeah, like it's completely
Really?
like
It is kind of frowned upon though.
Is
It's
it?
like,
But everyone here, like, are so superstitious.
exactly. So it's like
Yeah.
super frowned upon. It's like,
no, but
well, why are you playing
it's
with
weird
that stuff?
between the.
they read those coffee cups and all that, no?
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
you mean superstitious in the sense that they're not afraid of it
Yeah,
necessarily.
yeah,
but,
exactly. Like, they're used to,
they're
like,
into
the
it.
whole... Yeah,
the mystical side.
the
of
mystical
reality.
side, the
but,
things that live around us and all that, yeah.
Yeah, but black magic is supposedly like supposed to be illegal. I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They call it like
Exactly.
black
If you're
magic.
doing stuff to, like, hurt people, yeah. If they think it's...
I have questions for you from the
Yeah.
get go. Has Issa has stages, right? There's like the alchemy thing. We actually did an episode of like his
stages.
new obsession with alchemy. But has he gone through different things that he like gets really into for a while? He's like, the latest thing is rock, the stones,
Crystal.
energy of the
Crystals.
stones.
Crystals are awesome though. I still haven't made you guys necklaces.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, I will.
He
Um,
does, yeah.
Did you go through phases of different stuff?
Phases.
Well, maybe not phases, but like he
I
gets
get
interested
really
in something.
into-
Yeah, and he tries to learn as much as he can quickly
Yeah,
and then moves on without actually
Nice.
going even...
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in depth.
But
So
then it'll come back again later in his
That's
life
why we
somehow.
have the problem that we have now, where we're like borderline pretending like we know what we're talking about, and Issa's very confident because he's looked into
Oh.
it enough where he thinks he's an expert.
I'm not pretending. I know I don't know anything.
Oh, okay, that's
It's
that's
like-
better then.
What I don't what I don't know. Okay, Saad. What is one thing, or like, yeah, name one thing like you really wish you knew more about, but like it just, like, you know, you like given the freedom or given the time, you'd be like, yeah, I could read books on this, or maybe even study it.
I think history, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I knew way more about
Really?
history. Yeah.
Like anything specific or no?
No,
Any
like
period,
everything.
or
Like
just
it
in
just in general,
know-
because it's like
You know, it's funny.
crazy.
I was thinking, I was watching a new, I can't remember that show we were watching with Will Smith, and I was like, if we went back,
Aladdin.
no, the documentary show
Oh yeah,
What's
that
it
one.
Oh, like the
the
planet thing.
Yeah.
on the rock, or what is
on
it?
the rock,
Our
this
our
strange
planet.
rock.
Our our
No.
third
no,
third
our-
third rock from the sun.
No, this strange rock or something. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, that
so I was
one.
watching that and I was like, going back now and being able to study, like science in school,
Yeah.
whatever, would be like, even this because it was like going into like the core of the earth and
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
describing
exactly.
that
Name
basic stuff. of-
Mantle.
yeah,
What else is there? What else is on that on
But-
the cross section of the earth? Mantle, crust.
why are
Oh,
you
yeah,
testing yourself? Why are you putting the pressure on yourself to try?
Because it's fun. What else
But,
is there?
but now
There
I'm
should be
thinking,
more,
right?
right?
I'm thinking there should be, but this is what I'm
Molten
thinking.
core.
This is my point. Okay, if you went back in,
How
you-
do they know? Sorry.
Go on.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, how do they know? Because they haven't really dug
They have.
that deep. Have
Maybe not. How far?
but
how
maybe they
much-
explore.
No,
What's
but they're able to check the temperatures or
Yeah,
higher,
maybe or
closer
may-
to the center.
Yeah, they put a heat sensor on other planets,
What's the
and
max?
they figured
What's the
it
max?
might match the one of ours.
Oh
What
my
do you mean? I
goodness.
don't
No,
understand.
don't even go into his point. It's so
Sorry.
far up on
He
the
literally
real point.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they just put a heat sensor on the other planet, Mercury.
He's basically, his idea is basically getting all the way to another planet and putting a thermal sensor facing Earth to find out what's in the middle of Earth. That's his idea.
Wait,
No,
why can't they just-
the reverse? They don't have to put the sensor away
but
and
why
look
do you
at
want
us.
to check another planet's heat?
I would assume that's how the best way to know like what your cross section would be like. Because
What do you think the deepest they've dug is in any way? Like whether it's like an inch wide or whatever. What's the deepest
Whoa.
samples of Earth you think they have?
samples, actual physical, like sonar doesn't count.
No,
Okay,
physical.
I think they have that hole that they've dug like really deep into. Then they were told to stop.
Oh, because Godzilla is
Right?
gonna wake up
It's-
if they
I
poke
can't
it.
remember which country it's in, but
Singapore probably.
it's still there, and people go see it, and it's a massive hole.
Whoa.
Is it
The Earth, yeah,
Whoa,
you can check it. It's
that
one,
sounds trippy.
yeah, it's basically the largest hole in the
Yo,
world.
that
It's,
gave
like,
me the
man-made,
shivers. They're
yeah.
like, don't wake her up.
Yeah, exactly.
But
She
they
is sleeping.
they've it was wide then. Like you can fall into it.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's not
Oh,
like
it's not in the water.
No, it's in land, and they've like dug into. You can see it. People like, go to check it out and everything.
Never
so. There's
heard
a
of this.
koala. Oh, sorry.
Is it in
Koala,
America?
Koala super deep bore well, 9 inches in diameter, and 12,200 meters.
9 inches.
It's not that big.
That's like
That's like a
4
BBC.
iPhones wide.
A big.
Phone,
Bold.
big cell phone.
Well, not big enough for you to fall in. That's for sure.
No,
Well, if you're
but
a
it's
small.
but it's 12,000. It's 12,000 meters. It took
12,000.
20 meters.
12,000 meters. 12 Burj Khalifas.
Oh, sorry. It took 20 years
14 Burj
to
Khalifa?
reach that
Yeah,
depth.
More.
14. 14 is
14.36.
So yeah, okay. So they haven't dug into the like past the mantle of the Earth. I guess.
No, I don't think they've gone
it's
that.
past the mantle of the Earth. Is that
Mhm.
is that where the molten things happen?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
actually
is it
don't
not-
know. I'm
is
not
it- is
making
it-
fun of you. I don't know what the
Yeah,
parts
no,
are.
I think it is. No, I don't know either. To be honest.
No, I have no idea.
But that's just earthquake. That's just volcanoes.
I was watching.
Right? Volcanoes just
That's the. Yeah, I guess that's why they think, right, from the heat and. But I think, anyways.
so
in Godzilla,
actually something. So you're saying there's no way to actually know. Well, that way.
I don't. I think it's
This,
more.
is
of
this like flat
more-
Earth theory that we're
it's,
getting
yeah,
off to?
I think it's like it's like a theory that hasn't been disproven, so it's almost fact. I think
Yeah, I don't think it's like.
because there's no. You haven't seen a cross section of the Earth.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that it's like 100% because
They
they
must-
They
they
found
must,
something. They must have found something
Because
recently or new
in-
updates on
if-
like how it actually.
Spoiler
is.
alert! Spoiler alert! This is a new Godzilla film. Spoiler alert!
Oh, don't ruin
Oh, I
it.
didn't.
No,
I didn't watch
no.
it.
It's not a big spoiler alert.
All right. Spoiler.
So
that's coming up.
in it's actually good because if you watch it now, you'll pay attention to it. In the film, they mention like one scientist is like, "Oh, I knew it. This proves my theory of the hollow Earth theory," which is
Oh, there's nothing in between.
yeah, that there's nothing in the middle. It's
center.
just tunnels, and like so a big monster could use the tunnels and go from like one end to the other.
Um,
Because if there's a core, you couldn't really navigate at all because you.
What do you mean? They like
So no,
who
so
dug
like,
the tunnels? The
oh no,
monster?
no, the tunnels don't necessarily exist.
Oh, okay, okay.
The hollowness of it, or like
I've got-
it's just
okay,
a
okay.
big rock
I've got some really interesting information.
with just like veins of lava. Go on.
Okay. This is now what we know, show.
Oh,
We're dropping facts now. Okay. The borewell that I told you about before.
how do you spell that? Boil?
Borewell.
Bore.
Borehole, sorry.
Borehole.
Borehole.
One word.
Borehole. Yeah, it's
Like
one word.
me, I'm a borehole.
So anyway, the borehole that I was talking about is 7.5 miles deep. That's the
That's
deepest
12,000 meters.
12,000 meters. Okay. So keep that in mind. 12,000 meters, right?
Mhm. I have one
That's the
fact.
deepest we've ever dug. The Earth's crust, which is just the outer layer, is up to 70 kilometers. So that's 7,000 meters.
Yeah.
7 kilometers from the top in.
From the top, that's the crust. That's just the top layer.
70
of Earth.
kilometers just crust. Okay.
Is the crust. Okay, so we haven't even got near the end of the crust. Okay.
Oh.
Then there's 100 meters after that, which is the Asthenosphere, which is, I don't know, it's the
Whoa, what's the
inner layer than that.
Asthenosphere?
Then the mantle, which is 2,885 kilometers. Then the outer core. Then the inner core. So with the inner core is 6,700 meters, up to 6,700 kilometers.
7,600 kilometers.
And we've got on that deepest hole,
Not
12,000 meters. 12 kilometers. That's it.
It's a bit crazy.
We've got 12 kilometers.
It's like
The
it's like
Earth's
eating a cheesecake and you just licked the icing.
Yeah. You lick the icing of the top of the cheesecake. And they're assuming what's in the middle. But maybe you're right. Maybe they don't actually know, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they don't actually know. I'm just saying we don't.
That's the best
What you
guess,
said
I guess.
was-
It's the best
Yeah.
guess. Oh, that's good.
But they must
We're
have
able to
ways
get
of
it.
proving it. But that
Yeah,
is
there
really
must-
insane. Like we
It's
don't,
crazy.
we haven't seen barely any of.
You think
What's the Earth's
things
thing?
like live that deep?
The Morlocks. You know what they are?
Go
Or
on.
warlocks?
The Morlocks.
Morlocks?
Aren't they called Morlocks? Those like little underground.
Is this one of your
It's from
phases
no,
you went through?
No, it's the H.G.
This is-
Wells time machine.
What was that?
Subterranean human thingies.
Oh, mole people or whatever.
Yeah, Morlocks.
Yeah.
I think they're called Morlocks. Like
Who is that? Who?
H.G. Wells time machine. He wrote Time Machine, and the guy goes to the future and in the past.
No.
And in one of the times he goes to the future, I think some humans, I guess, evolved to live underground. You don't remember this?
No.
At all? Really?
Was it a tacky movie?
It was a book.
It sound. Oh right.
And then
I thought it
they
was a
made
movie.
like I think they
I
made
just
two,
assume now that if there's a book, there's got to be a movie that goes.
they
with
made
it.
like 2 movies, I think. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Wasn't called Back to the Future.
It's called Time Machine.
Hmm. I'll watch the movie.
Yeah, I think it was like a 2004 film, if ever.
So that's what lives down there, basically.
With
Morlocks.
with Morgan Freeman.
No.
I think so.
I think you're mixing up 8 movies now.
Yeah. No, it was whatever. Like it's one of those like I read a lot as a kid, and it's one of the first few things I read ever. It's weird, like when you start reading, the things that people like teachers, I guess, recommend are like classics. So they're like, read Charles Dickens as an 11-year-old, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But actually, they should have been giving you like, I think, easy to read books. Like,
Maybe.
I mean, I eventually did go on to stupid stuff like Goosebumps and Animorphs and all
But
of
who?
those.
Yeah,
Like,
but I don't know. People who were into reading probably enjoyed the books that they were like recommending.
Yeah, I mean, I did
You
enjoy,
think?
but they're like adult themes.
Yeah, they were all
Some-
adult themes.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, exactly, because like
They were.
now reading
They were like
these-
dealing with serious topics
yeah,
and
serious
Yeah.
things like
And we were young,
isolation and
Yeah.
abuse.
Yeah.
Actually,
Real
emotional.
and then they
or
go
whatever, yeah.
through the themes and everything. You realize how serious it was,
Yeah.
and like
Reading these things as an adult, you appreciate it. Why would a kid understand?
Yeah.
you're like this.
The-
doesn't
yeah, it's
affect
true.
me.
Actually, it's actually
Like
it has
Harry-
no relevance.
Harry Potter as a kid is cool because your imagination is really.
but that
really
was one of the
stoked.
first.
But you think they
ones.
could have taught that?
Taught Harry Potter.
No, I mean like use that as in the literature
I
class.
think
I
they
think
kind
so.
of did.
Yeah.
They kind of did. I remember like the
Oh,
reason
really?
the reason Harry Potter works so well. I know, like you remember, it just blew up. The first one was insane. Like
Mhm.
it just went through the roof.
It was because of the first film that I read
But-
all of the following books.
But the book was already huge. I remember like being forced to read the book when I was younger, or whatever. But it was
forced to read it
it definitely forced
by
to read it. I
parents.
think yeah,
read?
yeah.
Your parents forced you to read Harry
Yeah.
Potter or what?
They forced me to read, and they were like, choose a book, and it was
Oh,
like
okay.
the
How-
hot book at the time. Or
Roughly,
whatever.
how old were you?
How old were we when the first Harry Potter came out? Like, I don't know, 12, 13?
2001 was the first one.
I can't remember. Yeah, something
No,
like
it
that.
came out like 94, 97, but the first
The
film was like 2001.
No. First Harry Potter wasn't 94, I don't think.
97?
I don't know. I
book,
don't
like-
know. I didn't know it was
But,
that
but
old.
I think that's why it works so well, because people are actually
So was it
reading
after
it.
after what? Like how many years did the movie?
2001, yeah, I guess. When is the first book? 94, 97.
I'm looking into it.
And what
But,
were all the? No, because I remember books were coming out
97,
when we
I
were.
told you. I mean, not 2001, but 97.
I told you
I
2001
said
is the
exactly,
film.
I said
2001 is the
exactly
film.
26th of June 2097.
2001 is the
Um,
film.
But yeah, that was the first one. But I think the reason it works so well is
The logo
because-
is amazing. I think the logo is iconic.
No, they always change.
The Harry
colours,
Potter
yeah.
logo itself, that with the lightning on the H or the P.
Oh,
Oh
the
yeah,
P.
that was the later on ones. But I
It's
think
very iconic.
the reason why it works so
Mm.
well is because I think people actually kids actually read it. So she just sold shitloads of them. Because like,
I was lucky to have read it. I wonder if like some parents read to their kids, which is cool. My parents never
Harry
read
Potter?
to me.
oh yeah.
they read Harry Potter to you.
No, they didn't.
Oh,
Apparently, if you read to your kids, they come out to be not bad eggs. Apparently, reading to your kids is
before birth or after?
no, like as their kids, just
Oh,
read them
okay.
like a story at night. It's weird because you watch that in the films and you're like, I don't know anyone personally who's been read to as a kid. Like I don't.
Do you not? I know Lara has.
Being yeah, but
I think
her
we
parents are
did.
both professors. It's like
No, I think we
it's
did
like
as well.
like it's
Yeah,
like
but
the
she's-
ideal like
No, I think it was like normal then.
so cool. Not I don't think it's
Are you sure
unnormal.
you never got read to?
Maybe I did. I just don't remember.
Maybe
it.
just
No, we got like
assume.
the random stories that was
Yeah,
like
same
told
thing,
to us. Yeah, but it was not like through. It was not from literature. It was just made up
Oh
random.
yeah, mom and
No,
dad
but,
used
like,
to make
read
stories
out.
for
Yeah,
sure.
for us to
Oh,
like, go to
okay.
bed type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's cool. I like that. Like mom would tell me a story with like stroking my head, and you're like, you know, like
Yeah.
like little
No, a
babies.
feline.
Like apparently I was a cat when I was a kid. True.
Yeah, but I mean, it's weird because now we're older. It's not stuff you think about, like what you should be doing to your kids. Like it's just stuff that you would just assume would be the right things to do, right?
Yeah, like
You
good
just-
habits to have.
Like reading to them, you would just assume would be a good thing that they would learn from.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's not.
Do either of you remember or like? I guess it's a personal question, but I don't know why it came to my head. I guess I actually do know why it came to my head, but it doesn't really matter. The question is, do either of you remember or want to share some of your like fondest memories as a kid, like one of the earliest like most like happy days you've had like as like a 5-year-old or so? You guys remember? 'Cause I don't.
No, not really.
I remember like
I have a really bad memory of being
A kid?
When you're young?
Yeah, really bad.
yeah, me too. Some
Like,
people
I don't-
really
Yeah, but I mean, I only
remember.
remember the good stuff, so they were all like kind of good. I don't-
See? That's cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
What is it? Do you
Sad, I
No,
have a
they're just
question.
like loads.
like clothes?
Yeah.
What are
Nothing
the
specific.
what were the biggest struggles growing up with Easter?
Wee.
Day to day.
Yeah, let him answer. I guess I was gonna answer for him. That shows already a lot.
Yeah, that's the first one. Being talked over.
You mean now or
No,
Oh no, not
Ever.
now.
not now. Straight to his face. No, ever.
ever?
The thing is, in my
Struggles
head,
of being my younger brother.
yeah, but you guys never like me and my brother a lot were like super competitive. Like we used to play sports with each other when we were younger, but it would get really competitive. And we'd end
No,
up
we
getting
were.
angry.
It was the exact same thing. We were competitive,
really?
but not over sports, over like video
Whatever,
games
yeah.
or like things that we're doing. You know,
I can-
whatever we were playing with or
Competed.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
always
competed.
we were basically rivals. Like,
I think
Yeah,
it's a brother
kinda,
thing
I
though.
guess.
is it?
Yeah.
It was like complete frenemy. More enemy than friend even
exactly,
sometimes.
Exactly.
was
It
even
gets
more.
violent,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah, it
Same
definitely
with
got
you
violent.
guys. Yeah,
it
but that's sometimes.
definitely got violent.
Yeah.
Really, but like off of now that you said it, as soon as you said it, straight away I was like,
But you
okay,
know, it's
League
funny.
of Legends, you'd get pissed off. as well.
Exactly,
some
it comes
kind of
back.
video
It all comes back, you know.
Yeah.
It's
It's
funny
playing like
you
video
guys
games now,
remember
so
it
now.
because like me, I'm like thinking about it and like nothing. I was like, oh yeah, just brothers. I just remember like, oh maybe. we
And
used to-
Saad's like, no, actually, this, and this.
I remember we used to like fight when we were younger, like argue and stuff.
Well, it's not argument. We just fought. I think.
Actually,
I don't think we. I don't
it
think we
wasn't
even.
mature enough
Yeah,
to
it was
argue.
not.
It was literally just.
We just got angry and we're
Just
like, we just
fighting.
fought. Yeah.
So,
Slowly, it got physical somehow. Like you're like, it starts for like getting aggressive by
Yeah.
pulling things, and
Yeah.
then slowly.
I think
Builds
it's
up
like
this-
across the board.
I don't remember that.
I think it's mostly the same with brothers. But you guys fought with each other more than you fought with your sisters.
Yeah, I think.
I
So.
don't
I got well along with everyone. I think you were a bit. You got
No,
a
I
bit
didn't.
peckish or not peckish. Like
Yeah, I fought with everyone.
yeah,
Really?
Basically,
it
yeah.
was a big gangster.
That was so why. I don't know why, because they like bullied me because I was in the center. You know, I was the
Yeah.
middle child.
I didn't bully anyone.
I got the same. I got the middle child treatment, I think.
Oh, true. You are. In the
Yeah.
middle child.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sounds like me for your family.
oh, that's funny. You felt like you got bullied from both sides.
Yeah, Saad as
I
well,
never thought of that.
apparently.
Exactly. I never thought of that way.
But yeah, it's the same. I think like you'll find something to be competitive about. Like
So,
the past episodes, we keep
Easily.
talking about like sports side with Issa, and he's like all the time like, no, I'm not competitive. I'm not that. Like keeps saying I'm not like
It's-
competitive with sports and stuff. But I realize, especially like you play League of Legends with him on his
Yeah,
team,
yeah.
and he's the first person that will shit himself if you're not holding up the rest of the team.
It is okay. So I know what it is. So like some people's qualities reflect on like what other regular people do. So like example, you meet someone or whatever. If you're not gonna like, some people might be really competitive. For example, like they're jogging and someone overtakes them. They're gonna be like, nah, you're not gonna overjog me. I'm gonna catch up and run past. Like I wouldn't care about that. But like when it's someone I care about, like my brother, sister, parents, whatever, best friend, and we're just chilling and like playing a video game, and they beat me once, they beat me twice. I'll win once, twice. Okay, beat me once, beat me twice, and then again, it's okay as long as I match it. But if it goes like 3 more, nah, I'm
Okay.
gonna get like, nah. You're like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, no, I gotta.
But
it
I
has to be
wonder-
equal, whatever that. means.
Really?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
strange.
So
So,
for me, it's not
so
about
I
winning.
get. I'm gonna guess. I'm
Oh,
gonna
it's
take
not
a guess.
about winning. It's about like,
No, I'm gonna take a guess
No,
then.
Ben
I'm gonna,
winning.
I'm gonna
Not
take a
winning.
guess. I bet you're the same as me then, because for me, I'm like from the get go, I'm like, no, I just want to win. Like if I can win everyone and have 10 out of 10 wins, 100% I'm taking that option.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
I mean, if
like-
I could win, I just win. Right?
Yeah,
No,
same
but
as
okay,
me.
but
Like,
it's important. It doesn't matter to win like
Extra,
extremely
yeah.
win.
No, it depends what I'm doing. Obviously,
like okay, for you, for the
if
most
it's
part,
important
I'd
to
say.
me, yeah. I would
For the
feel
most
like
part,
it.
like say you're playing a video game or like but
Yeah,
okay,
so let's say like
Say playing-
two different games. Like one is Tekken. If I'm playing that and I want to win, I do want to win, and then I lose, I don't mind so much. But if it's something else like League of Legends, I say we're playing, where it takes time and I've put in a whole hour
Effort.
to play the game just one round or one match, it hurts when you lose.
When it's
Yeah.
40 minutes,
Because you just wasted your time,
see
you know.
the
You're like
defeat
you put your
screen.
effort. Yeah.
League of Legends is another level. It's
Yeah.
like
Such an emotional
game.
It's such a roller coaster. Like
So emotional.
the problem is each game you start completely clean slate. So every time it's like a new like start of hope, starting a new game,
Exactly,
and then
and-
somehow you see it start to crumble, and you have this huge investment of like
Exactly, you
4 or 5
invested
minutes.
like mental
Yeah,
powers
yeah.
into it.
Yeah,
Because we were freaks for it at some point. Like I remember Issa got
was.
me into it.
I was really
And Issa had, so I think how it worked was Issa had probably one of his, you know, I was talking to you about his different phases he goes through. I think
Yeah,
his
yeah.
whole one phase was League of Legends.
I
like-
played from like 2011. Yeah, 2011 to like 2015.
That's crazy.
Like
yeah.
every day at least.
And the problem is like, so he stopped playing for a while, and then like one day it was really random. He was like, "Oh no, I'll just show you what it is," and it was like 2 years. He was clean for like a year and a half, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'll just show you what it
Deep
was,"
end.
and we just went straight back in the hole.
Deep
We were
end.
like going to like, I think it's a real Dubai thing having the gaming cafes.
in
Yeah,
Asia,
it
it's,
is.
and like in China and Philippines and like
Because you remember like
it's huge.
it was a
Yeah.
big part of growing up here, I think, for us as well. It's like
It is
gaming
part of
cafes
our
culture, yeah.
with shisha next to it. Do you remember those?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's like later because in the beginning there weren't even shisha in the places.
Did you
of
ever
the,
go
No, no,
beach
but there's-
center?
they would
sometimes
smoke
they're next to it,
and they would
It doesn't
smoke
have
in
to.
the
Yeah, but you can
Yeah,
always smoke
yeah.
indoors. Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah.
That's just been recently banned.
Oh,
Yeah.
all of
A
them.
few
can't?
years. No, you can't anymore.
Any.
No, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
there's like,
There's no smoking area.
No, I don't think any.
in the gaming cafes.
Yeah, maybe by the billiards or something. I think
Like a
actually even
dodgy-
there you
Oh,
can't
yeah, yeah,
smoke
so
anymore.
you're
I don't
right,
think you
you're
can
right.
smoke anymore indoors.
right.
At all. You have to go out.
because there's
It's-
kids. There's kids inside.
Exactly. That's
No,
why.
no, no.
that's
Yeah,
why.
you're right.
That is
Because
why.
when we were going last, like a while ago, that's when there was like
2015,
smoking.
16.
And,
They
like-
started getting a bit strict. Yeah.
yeah, but they were like still smoking behind the computers or whatever. And like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, but now they're like really strict
Do
about
you?
it. And,
That's
were
good.
you? Did you used to go to like Beach Center to the gaming cafe there? Do you
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
That was like the hot spot for us growing up. Like, remember what a small community of people it was
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
It's
Always
insane.
the same people. And you
And
know
then-
you'd see them. And it was
Yeah.
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
Counter.
Then there was
original one.
Gunbound. There was a little Gunbound.
That's like later
phase.
on, yeah.
World
I think we
of
talked about
Warcraft.
this a while
When
ago.
online got popular, it was Gunbound.
Yeah.
So
we used to play LAN.
This is how,
Counter.
LAN,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
parties.
So when we first started playing video games was before any of the games were online.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how crazy it is. So we used to
That's
play.
true, actually.
So you had
Warcraft
to,
3, not World of Warcraft. That's what everyone played. Dota.
Dota, yeah. Dota was League, basically.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was like
But the weird thing was, it was before that idea even, or that it was fast enough to be able to play against people online. So people,
Online.
the reason to go to a gaming cafe was like,
You
I want
could.
to go and play with
I
friends.
remember you could play Counter-Strike online,
Yeah.
but like the
Because-
server had to
Exactly.
be
In
not
your- in
laggy.
your-
Yeah.
It had to be in your place, like close to you,
yeah.
in the region or something.
Yeah.
Because we
Ah,
had
yeah.
no servers here, and it
That was for a
you couldn't
while.
connect online.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
while. Like you had to have a server close by, and
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you're lagging.
And also sometimes when you connect to these games online, you have to download the map through them, like in Counter-Strike.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, then you like double click it and you get excited because you download the map and then you have it and you play it on your own. So it's kind of cool actually to join these random rooms.
you
That's true.
you don't play VR stuff so much anymore.
Just haven't had time. I
Ah.
don't even play. I don't
You
even
haven't
have time
lost
to play
interest
games.
though. You
No, I
you-
haven't. I'm actually waiting maybe a year or two, and by then graphics cards again should be crazy, and there should be like the next generation. By
But
then.
already, I think like the three of us went through a phase of like we were pretty big on it at one point. Like
Yeah.
Take
I wish
turns
I
to,
wish I
like-
played some more though.
me too.
Yeah.
A little bit,
I have
yeah.
everything. I just recently took them down.
Because-
the sensors and so on.
I remember like this was another phase of Easter's, but he was like upgrading, and at the end, like he got really excited. He's like, "Oh, come by, I've got this new thing." And at the end, it was just insane. You're basically like wearing
Yeah.
Ray-Bans, and there's just shit going on all around you.
It is.
like,
It is
surround
quite
sound.
insane, huh?
It's
like
ridiculous.
there
No,
was-
it's insane. You forget that you're even like
You're like, this is the next thing of
yeah,
gaming.
yeah.
Remember when you
you're like in the
100%.
game for so long that felt
Yeah.
like
Did you even
that was your reality
did
for
you
that
get-
second.
Did you get to try the shooting ones, the first-person shooter games?
Yeah, I did.
They're
They
crazy.
were
Crazy,
insane, yeah.
really insane. Like, and the ones
Or the one we played with the zero gravity one, that was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They must
That
have been the
Well,
where you throw a frisbee.
Your frisbee, yeah.
for
was
me, the
crazy.
coolest one was, I think you might be talking about the same one. There was like, you had the option of like a gun, a sword, and like there was robots coming at you or something.
Oh no, that's another one. That's
Yeah.
also pretty good.
That was insane.
They must have
Yeah.
improved
So, yeah, this is a
the
year
user
ago,
interface. Oh yeah,
At
a year
least.
more.
Yeah.
More.
But imagine, so this is also pretty weird for me. Like you can imagine like us going to Beach Center, you look back at those videos now of Counter-Strike and it's like, you can barely believe that you were able to play them, you know?
Exactly.
And like the only thing you were hoping for, like just praying for smooth enough visuals,
Frame rate,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
The frame rate, basically. That you're like, please let it be fast enough that I can see enough pixels to shoot at, basically.
Exactly.
And that was like a godsend. You're like, okay, I'm good with that. Now, if it's blurry graphics, you're like, no way,
I don't
this
wanna
looks
play.
shit. Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
But imagine
And if the
so-
monitor is not even, if there's a bit of lag or if it's the frame rate's not high, you're just like,
Yeah, screw it. I don't want to be involved.
I really
Yeah, but
don't.
imagine for my nephew now, he's like
Spoiled.
he's a year and like 1 or 2
That's
months now.
insane.
Can you imagine when he's 7?
Yeah.
Like it won't be even close to
Inshallah,
what
the
we
world
thought
is
about.
still here. by then.
Hopefully, 7 years is not that long. I think
Yeah,
we're
it's
gonna.
not that long.
I think we're gonna last another 7,
At least.
Another
Hopefully.
7. I think 50.
50 at least.
Yeah, I'll
Let's
give it
hope for.
50. No, our
That's it?
kids are fucked.
you
Yeah.
think? You think that's what we got left? We've been around for
Yeah, I think
the world's been here for millions of years. You're like 50 years we're fucked. That's
If
it.
anyone can
I'll give
ruin
it
things
50.
fast, it would be humans.
Of course, I think we're doing as much damage as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing a
We're
good
not.
job. It's a
Some of
good
us,
job.
some of us though are trying.
Who?
Whatever that
we're
means.
not. Nobody's
I
really
am.
trying. My mum said she was. She said she's using metal straws now. That's her contribution.
That's good enough. That's good.
Yeah, every small step
I
counts.
guess I said it was like, as long as you're doing a step forward, it's a good thing. I
Yeah.
guess, but I don't think no one's really trying. Like we're really.
I think people
Saad's
are trying.
50-year prediction's pretty scary. I'm like, fuck, we better do some changes actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult. Like, I'm just looking now at the food we ordered earlier, takeaway, and it's come in like
It's a mess.
yeah, plastic,
Plastic everywhere, all over the table.
paper boxes. And
Mhm.
it's just like, okay, maybe.
Yeah, I think we're getting worse, to be honest,
Yeah.
rather than good. Like,
Yeah.
imagine.
No, we're definitely getting better with this
You
stuff.
think? I think
Yeah.
we're getting a lot
There's
worse.
loads of new
I-
things
I'll
now
tell you what
that
I
are like
think.
reusable and stuff.
I think we're getting more gimmicky, but less efficient.
It's
That's
good. It's good to
actually-
make the stuff like gimmicky. Then people do it, right?
But it's
At
the
least
stuff
awareness
like,
goes up.
do you
right?
just do you want wooden fork and knife, and they're like trying to look like they're doing good for the environment, but then they bring like 10
Oh yeah,
plastic
yeah. I know
tubs,
what you mean. I know what you mean.
and you're like, really? No, because we're
They're
like,
like, oh, we use metal straws. But
yeah,
here's
but
like
then you look at
all
the
the
rest of
plastic bags to hold your stuff.
it. Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, the ones that really do it right are like very like hippie places or whatever. Maybe they use all like no plastic, no this, that. That's probably what you want to aim for. But now with like Uber and like we order out so much, you can order this here in 5 minutes from any number of apps. From just food delivery alone, it's probably way worse.
Yeah.
50 years is probably bang on. Just wait till 49 years, they'll give you a call like,
I
sorry,
mean,
you're right. We should have listened.
They're saying the drone pizza thing should be a thing by now, right?
I think it probably is in some places.
Yeah.
True.
I think that's another one of those, like, you keep seeing Amazon doing this stuff, like eBay or Amazon's now delivering by drone.
You're like, they just wanted to do it once and say that's what they do.
Yeah,
exactly. Looks like a cool advert.
It's annoying.
It would be nice. Like, it's nice ideas. It would be cool to, like, it's just not practical.
Graphene.
What's
What do you
that?
mean?
That thing, they're like, oh, everyone's going to be using graphene, right? But because it's kind of like expensive to manufacture, it's not being used everywhere yet.
For what? Instead
For
of
anything, as lubrication, I think, or to make carbon nanotubes.
Oh really?
Those are made from graphene.
There's a weird change.
Maybe.
This is a weird change of direction, but we're kind of on topic. There's so many other alternatives now, right? To be able to, like, at one point, don't you remember they were like, you can use in certain, I don't know if there's like hybrids or whatever. Saad will probably know more than me,
cars.
but either you can use vegetable oil or some shit.
Eco-fuel.
Yeah, I think they can convert it. Yeah, they convert their.
But what? Like, surely they know how to do that right now.
This is for energy or for cars?
For cars,
For
guess.
cars,
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
they
it'd work
basically
for
use
energy
like
as well,
cooking
then.
oil, right? To
Yeah.
power some cars. Yeah.
What I want to know about is these hybrid cars, which sounds cool. So you put half the tank is petrol.
No, you put the full tank, let's say, or whatever the capacity of the
But
car
would,
is.
would it be of a capacity of a regular car?
Actually, I'm not really sure about it. Probably smaller. But then you use your electrical most of the time, and then only when you have to push the
It's
car
like a
does it
backup
switch
or
into the.
That's like the
yeah.
BMW that they have,
Okay,
right?
so I thought in my head that you would never have to plug it in, but then the fuel charges the battery or something.
No, that's right, I think, isn't it?
Does it? Yeah, I don't know.
I
I don't know.
No, I don't think it's like, I don't think you have to
think
charge it and put fuel in.
Do you not?
I don't know.
I thought you do.
Oh, it's like the
Maybe both.
it's
Uh,
like
maybe
that
both,
BMW, right? That BMW
I think
has
that
that.
or it recharges as you use the.
That's what
car.
I think, because
the
if
battery
if you had
recharges,
to
yeah.
plug things always, it would be.
Yeah, it's true.
I
Then
know.
you
It
just
might-
need a fully electrical car.
Yeah, I can't wait for conductive plate type cars where you park in your parking lot and there's a pad down and that just charges
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, well,
they
that's
were
like-
trying that the wireless charging basically.
Yeah,
for
AC.
cars.
That's
yeah.
sick. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually cool.
But a lot of people are definitely not on board with that. Like, a lot of people don't like.
Self-driving?
No, not even that. Like, a lot of people are very like, I don't know. Like, if you try to convince everybody, like, say for like, you hear numbers, 5 years all cars are going to be electric or whatever. 10
But we're
years.
getting
or
there,
whatever.
right?
But I think some people are going to be really like genuinely resistant to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, if the government forces them, what can they do? I mean, they can still drive. I think for a while, I was going to say forever, but I think for a while, no one's going to be forced out of driving their own car if they can afford to do so.
I mean, here
I think they are trying to force them out because they're trying to make it like expensive and kind of in the future illegal to drive anything that's like runs on petrol. So they want to ban any vehicles that runs on petrol. Yeah,
it would just make it
That's
harder.
that's in like
harder.
in Scandinavian.
But that's
countries,
like-
I'm pretty sure they've said like by 20 something.
But
Every
that's
car
like
has to be sustainable energy.
All cars have to be. Yeah.
it will be a natural. I mean,
Good.
It's like with
Very good.
fuel, it will should in
Or they'll
theory
tax
get,
them high, I guess.
it should get more expensive anyway. Like they have.
Fine.
Have you heard of the peak oil theory?
What's this?
Whatever. I don't know.
What's this?
Peak oil point or whatever, where it's the point that there's it's getting more expensive the less oil there is or whatever, and just gets like it passes the point where there's more oil being produced than the price is going up or whatever. So the price of the oil supposedly now is going to get more and more expensive the less, like,
Yeah,
it's on
but
the
like-
decline now.
But isn't that just like scarcity of demand?
Yeah,
Or like
eventually
scarcity
now
of
it'll be-
supply, sorry.
But
Scarcity.
it's
Yeah, exactly.
it's at that point now where it's getting more expensive because there's less fuel apparently. But I don't know. There
But
might
then it
be
goes, and then they
so
find
many-
something
yeah,
else,
yeah,
another
yeah.
source, and they're like, oh, because the petrol prices goes up, they fluctuate a lot,
quite
right?
a lot. Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
it's like-
it's crazy to think how much plastic we actually need, or like we use in everything, you know, to produce glass. I guess to produce anything, you need plastic almost.
But maybe they should stop producing plastic for things we don't really need plastic for.
No, I don't mean the actual parts, like byproducts, but like I mean like if you use like not a laser cutter, but like if
Yeah.
you use any of the
Yeah.
industrial applications.
Yeah, they actually use plastic in the process.
To
Yeah.
use it for
I
stuff,
think
yeah.
so. Yeah.
But
Yeah, they
no,
do.
it's sad. You're right because imagine how like really we're pushing it so much. You know, like we really don't need to use it like
Okay.
we are.
No,
So-
really, yeah.
So
like
I want to interject.
it's just purely convenience because imagine like every option for using plastic. Really, if we had to, like for example, you go buy a big bottle of water. You can go and fill up those huge jugs of
just
water.
a refillable one, yeah,
Yeah.
metal
And
thing.
imagine,
Buy
like-
once.
Yeah, they're like the ones you put into the
that's-
cans, those ones you put into the water dispensers.
Yeah.
Imagine how quickly, like, you're just running those dry all the time. Those
I
bottles
think that's
go
why.
somewhere.
I think that's why they collect it.
No, I don't think they throw that bottle. They
Those at
definitely recycle
least. I
Yeah.
hope.
Recycled or whatever.
And
But
I
it
hope
like,
some
so.
way.
Because
think
so,
so, I
so
think
that's why I think like you have all of these. I mean, I haven't read.
But
funnily
most of
enough,
it's not the case,
1984 Yeah. Sorry.
sorry, most of that stuff's not the case. Like, most
Exactly.
stuff you bin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing. I just like one of the solutions in my head. I was imagining quickly when you were saying, "Oh, what do we do about it?" Like, I was thinking that the best way would be to give people models of existing or models of living, like showing them this is how you should live your life. But then I'm like, how is that not just communism, socialism, or telling everyone how to think and how to behave? You know, and I know
No,
they
you can like. Will it affect actually your life to change these few things? I don't think so.
No, definitely not. But some people will fight just on the feeling that their freedom is being.
Freedom to choose. Yeah, so freedom to do what exactly? Just
To,
if
like,
they want to
waste
destroy.
shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if we that's the thing. There's only so much of reframing it that way. Because I agree with you. It is freedom to do harm to the earth that they're fighting for, or that if they would argue against the point.
For me, I
Then
have
they
a-
can go and produce their own plastic. But when they go out, they'll have to use whatever paper
So
bags
it's
and stuff
good.
like
So
that.
I
Let's
guess
say.
it's good when the government
but
says,
I-
"I'll give put more of a tax on plastic things," and basically, yeah.
For me, I think like with
Yeah.
all of these things, there's a more simple way to think about it.
More
If-
even than that. Go
I
on.
think like
I'm curious.
if I think that things should work without being put into law first, like without, because we're talking about like, okay,
Yeah.
government ban plastic, no more use of plastic. People are pissed off that they don't get the right to choose stuff.
Exactly.
But if like the government, like if the role of the government or whatever was to say to people, here's the information, this is why it's so bad, and you can shift, and I think it's going to get more like this, you can shift public opinion for people to want to do stuff themselves. For me, that's like the most natural way that things can be, like big shifts happen, you know? Like the biggest thing that really we saw recently to make people actually think, shit, this isn't good, is never like, oh, the government say you have to do this or you have to do this. It's always like the documentaries that you watch, like there's a few documentaries that came out probably like 5 years ago that everyone was like, wow, this is really like, there was a phase that people went through, like the,
About
there's a-
being informed
like the meats,
and changing.
Yeah,
one,
the
yeah.
cowspiracy.
and there's like Earth and Terror. That one was also, I think we watched Terror together. And those ones for me are always the ones where everyone's like, oh shit, we really need to do a difference. And like you visually see or whatever. But things being in like, okay, well, there's a law now that you have to recycle. Those things seem like they don't work maybe as much.
That's
I guess
true.
they don't make people realize themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were just saying what you just did. It was just like in the US, for example, there are policies about where you sort your trash out, and like there are like clear areas where you could
Yeah.
put this in there. So like you feel like you besides the finding aspect of it, besides that, really, I never thought, oh, I should sort this out because I'll be fine. But like, it didn't feel right to be throwing your general trash in like, if there's a recycle bin that's just as big as the general trash. You know what I mean? There's equal priority for recyclable items and then general trash and paper items. So you see it all, you're like, okay, I'm not just gonna like in our apartment, we had separate bins somehow.
Okay.
We just did it. Like it felt
But it
like
worked
natural
then,
to
you
do
think?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same in the UK. Like, that's exactly why we did it there. Like, there's the bins outside, which are like glass,
Yeah.
paper, general trash, whatever, plastics.
And they make it
And
easy for you.
That's
you
what I'm
know?
saying. It
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
like
They make
Which
it
is,
easy for you.
this is a
But
weird,
over here, how could you
this is
recycle?
the thing. This is what I was going to say. Like, we've been on this for a while, but it's crazy here. Like, it's not, I think we're far behind, really far behind of like,
Yeah, because you have, let's say you want
it's
to...
a general trash chute.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most
Exactly.
buildings.
yeah. But it's not, there's
exactly.
never a big, like a really big awareness of like,
Yeah, they could have done
Waste.
plastics on one side and stuff.
because you feel like other places in the world, like you said when you were in the States, it was so long ago already that they're like pushing.
Yeah,
to-
and it's bad. Like so, it's bad that you blame the building or whatever for like having the ducts.
The same or whatever.
Oh yeah, the same thing. Because like I remember clearly now, whenever we had big cardboard or paper products, we would fold them and everything and flatten them out before in New York at least.
Mm.
You know, so you'd collect everything, and then fold it and everything, and then just put it downstairs, whatever, near the bin for the
Yeah.
paper side. You know?
No, but here you don't. What we're saying is like you don't have the option to do that almost. Like, but there's never been a big awareness here. Like, imagine how much even the money that goes into it elsewhere, like in the States, they push for the whole like
'Cause
recycling.
they probably have
and-
to, because they probably can't afford landfills, and or they can't like. I mean, the environment can't afford that. That's one
But
thing.
here
like,
has never been a big environmental push of like being.
Yeah, I
more-
think it depends. It's not from, at least,
I think-
not as much from the... I think the government is actually doing a little bit
yeah,
now.
as much as they can.
Yeah,
but
but in
like,
our schools, they pushed for like...
Really?
Yeah, they did this whole initiative where you
Environmental
brought
stuff,
like your plastic bottles to school.
I remember that
Every
too.
week,
but it was
we
just,
collect everything and you bring it there.
Yeah.
But then they have to go drop it off somewhere. I don't think someone comes and collects it.
Hmm.
So that's a hassle if you're doing it
But
in
it
your
was-
household, right?
you know
the-
every week.
The thing is, like in school and stuff, it was the same thing. It was like it was never like not really explained that much. It wasn't like it was kind of more of a forced annoyance thing, I think. But if people really explain to you, like if you watch those kind of documentaries and you're like, okay, this is the reason why you actually have to do it or whatever. It
yeah,
kinda
you
makes
see
more
animals
sense.
like
It sticks longer in your head, I guess.
yeah, you see the animals like, oh, I'm drowning because there's a ring around my neck. It's a bit sad. It is a bit
It's
like,
horrible there.
yeah. And they
But-
have no idea, right? That
Yeah,
they're
but
gonna
it's-
die now.
The problem is it's so easy to say, but like we just had like 4 different orders and stuff everywhere,
Yeah.
and it sounds very
That's
very
true.
nice, but it's like
But they
not
should give
like
us the
we're gonna-
option if we can choose to not
Yeah.
have these things.
I would definitely.
That's a good point.
You know, they
that's a
should give
good
it.
point.
Or they
Because-
should do it like the delivery apps or stuff.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, you can
You
just
know-
save preferences. I want my eco-friendly stuff. I'll pay a bit more.
They do
for
it here. They do it
Yeah.
here. So they do it in one of these companies, Gibson's.
Really?
Yeah, so I get my groceries from there, and you choose like I want all my produce if it could be loosely like
Packed.
packed or with a paper bag.
Really?
Yeah,
But the thing is, okay, now we're at this point. We're at the point, I think, where we're like over the point where we've had like a lot of years, which you should be doing this is a waste and stuff. And people are aware and feel guilty about it. But we're not quite at the point now where I think it's like openly, like what you said, like bring all the groceries without plastic bag. Because pretty much everyone would say, like most people would say, okay, just bring it like without wasting plastic.
yeah. For
Most
sure.
people have the awareness of doing that, but it's not.
It's not. It's no. Like the difference here in the UK is like in the UK where you bring your tote bag with you or whatever, and
Yeah, never
you pack it
happens.
up. You know.
Yeah.
So we do it here, and they just look at us and like
Yeah,
a bit surprised, and then
yeah,
Just gotta keep doing it.
yeah.
Just gotta keep doing. The thing is, I think it's just awareness, right? Because like it's just like levels of awareness. You have so
Exactly.
many hypothetical situations. For example, you can have. This is horrible. It's not even. It's not horrible, really. Okay, let's say there's a hypothetical household in the suburbs, in this region, and the lady of the house or the guy of the house, whoever, who are the couples or the owners of the house, whatever, are very, very environmentally conscious as much as possible. Really, they care. They actually care. but then they're the same family that has a housemaid and sends her to get the groceries, and like there's things that they could be doing, but they offload it, and then in their head they can just say, "Oh, it's okay because I'm paying
They're
for
not-
her living or whatever."
Oh, right.
That makes sense. There's a ways of rationalizing it. When it's okay. So at that point, like let's say they're even nice. They're not like abusive slave owners or anything, but like they're nice and they care about the environment, but the priority is more like they care more about the earth than humans, I think. And that's just a
Oh,
judgment
yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing.
I see what you mean.
I don't like, and then there's some people who are like, oh, but we're really nice to our housemaid. And like, as in really, and they are. Like some people, like another hypothetical family, like they don't care about the environment at all,
Have
but
you-
they really support the family of the housemaid, for example.
have
They
you
send money
seen-
back to her family. Or
Have you seen stuff that shocks you here? Have you been shocked before?
like personally?
Yeah, about like treatment of
I've heard stories. I've never.
not personally
No.
shocked.
No.
Never.
I've seen stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
You've I've
Yeah.
seen maybe like a lady telling off, like saying, "Oh, why
I've
did you
seen
do this?" Or
quite a lot, to be honest. Like
really,
a lot of times, which would be
in any other
like-
place, it would have
Yeah.
been like,
Oh,
I mean, but not as common
past.
anymore though.
definitely not as common
No,
anymore.
because like
for
now it's
sure.
like a whole thing.
I mean,
right?
when we were kids, for
yeah,
sure.
when we were
like,
kids, for sure, I
yeah.
saw some.
And especially like going to friends' houses, and you're like,
Yeah.
you go in like when I was like probably 11, 12 years old, and then you go to friends' houses, and I'd be like, whoa, like
the way
this
some
is
people
n-
are being treated.
Yeah. Yeah, like, especially like housemaids or house girls, whatever. And
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like,
insane.
and you're like, and gardeners here especially.
Really.
Yeah. Did you feel the same or like
With gardeners.
gardeners and house girls? Like when you were
Yeah,
younger?
with the house, exactly. They just sometimes they're not even human, right? To
Yeah,
them, I
it's
mean, like
insane.
yeah.
But I remember quite a lot of times being shocked and like being definitely like taken back a lot by it. Because it's like
It's actually
now thinking about it, it's insane. What
It reminds
like,
me. It
thinking about
reminds me of the thing that Mansi said is like, so what are some of the things that you would really like intervene if you saw it being done in front of you? And maybe you guys are right that I'm being naive and not realizing that it's just because I haven't seen it in a few years doesn't mean it doesn't happen anymore. At least
I
in
think
the
it's
area.
less, but like because before it was also like quite a public thing.
Yeah,
like,
like
I
they
remember,
don't
like, in
mind.
Like when we were kids, like going to the groceries, you'd see like some families with a like
Yeah.
helper, house
Yeah.
help or whatever, and they'd
Yeah.
be like very loud and like kind of abusive. It's
Yeah,
abusive.
yeah,
really,
they
right?
shout at them, they
Shout
scare
at them,
them,
like
they
that.
like
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
them on their toes,
Yeah.
and like it's abusive for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so bad.
And every once in a while, you do hear stories like elsewhere in the region of like, I think, yeah.
But now it's like a frowned upon thing. Like if a
Yeah.
family does that, people don't like it. You know.
Yeah.
But it's not like the crazy thing is the time period hasn't been that long. You know.
No,
if
it
you think
doesn't.
about
But
it.
that's why it's
It's like 15
kind of
years.
interesting
But
to
the
see how
progress is
people
good.
here are progressing really quick.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
the newer generations are like realizing like, oh, when they travel abroad, they're like, this doesn't happen
Yeah,
here, or
yeah.
like, or when they see stuff online and
Yeah.
they realize it's not right
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't like it was like you were saying, like it was not that long ago, but it was completely different time.
Completely.
Almost.
Like,
Would we?
let's
could
say
we?
even 10 years even,
Could we attribute that to the internet?
for sure.
Mm.
For
I
sure.
think. I think
think-
that's a win
But I
for
think
the
how it's
internet.
yeah, but
a big
also
win.
how quickly things have happened. I think as well,
Just
because you think like it's not really just about that specifically. Like think about the lifestyle here. Well, we're talking 15 to 20 years ago ish. 15 years
Mhm,
ago, let's
mhm.
say, and that kind of thing was really common, and you like overlooked it almost. And things have
yeah, as
caught
a
up
kid,
with
exactly.
that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as a kid, like definitely I might have seen that, but not thought much, or been like,
Shocked
oh,
at the
that's
time
just
or
their
whatever.
life, or that's just things will change for them maybe one day. But or I haven't seen it in person in such a while.
But that's the
now,
thing,
that
like,
I'm
it's-
like, if I saw it now, I don't know how it feels.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So,
I'd
so
like literally don't know. I'd be like,
this is
do
the
I
thing.
interfere? Do I
Yeah, that happened to me actually.
go on?
In Spain, there's this family like being abusive to their kids. They were like trying to, I don't know, they were shouting at them, but they were, I think one of the moms
were,
like,
like,
smacked
Spanish,
them.
or?
Spanish, yeah, they were Spanish, and they were like, we went to some village somewhere, and they were like chasing them around this park that we were in, and they were
Sounds
actually being
nice so
abusive.
far.
No, they were shouting at them, and like I think the mom slapped one of the daughters or something like that. It was something crazy, and I was like, "This is weird." And I told everyone like, "Should we not like interfere?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think
Did you in the end?
they saw us like looking and
Yeah.
were like shocked, and they stopped. Huh?
No,
Were they
yeah,
like
that's,
slapping the kid again and again?
Yeah, it was shocking. Like not again and again. Like they're not. They were not like stomping on the kid, like throwing him around and
But
stuff.
okay.
But like they hit the kid, and then they were shouting, and they were like grabbing them and like being really aggressive.
So
with
this is also, it's funny you brought this up as well, because we were talking about that specific situation 15 years ago here.
them. Yeah,
But like on a bigger scale,
yeah,
it's like pretty common knowledge when
Here
like,
being Dubai, UAE.
yeah.
Just in case.
But
no one.
when like our parents, it was common knowledge, like it was open that pretty much all parents beat their
Disciplined.
kids.
Yeah.
But
Disciplined.
like
yeah,
even
yeah.
in schools, openly in schools, they would hit kids.
Oh,
and
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Imagine
exactly.
how much has changed now. Like
So
if
much.
in school now, regardless of like,
Just you
like,
say you
regardless
raise
of
your
legally,
voice.
but regardless of
Some
legal
schools.
aspects
Yeah.
now, because that's obviously completely changed things as
Yeah.
well. But if you're in school now and there was a teacher that like, I don't know, like beat a kid with a ruler, now
Yeah.
you'd be like, okay, shit, that like stands out, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That
But
would
do you
really
think this
stand
is
out.
like all the schools though?
I
How,
think.
how about the
Westernized at least. Yeah.
Yeah, how about the other schools, that like the older schools or the ones that are cheaper, let's say, for the.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Do you
they-
think?
they-
I think they
I
still.
think they've changed a lot.
You think so?
Yeah,
Do you
I
think they didn't
yeah.
keep their old like traditions
No,
and stuff?
no. Like
No?
like how if you ask your parents about it, like I'm sure they will say the same thing. Like all people our parents' age talk about going to school as like if you do something wrong, it's like you automatically know you're gonna get your ass whipped with a ruler.
Yeah, yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but for example, I know of someone who's in their 40s and they have a kid, right? And the kid's in like 10 and above or so. And I hear like anytime they get information from the school regarding their kid or whatever, they're very involved. You know? It's like very like they care so much. And they're in like 20 years older than me or whatever, 10 years older than me. So I'm like, can you imagine if when our generation starts having kids, how picky we would be? You know, we would be, I feel like we would be a bit more sensitive than most parents, than older parents, and like looking at our kid and being able to tell if the kid is unhappy or not. I know it's easy to say, not having actually kids after a while. But
Yeah,
like,
you wouldn't.
yeah,
No,
but I feel
yeah,
like
I think
we would
it's
be a
hard.
bit more
I don't know.
sensitive.
It's easy.
No, but you
It's
could-
super easy to say that, but you hear more stories now. The thing is, like, it's okay. I think we've talked about it a lot. Like, we've talked about everything being really progressive, really quick
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that you almost don't know how
Technology
to
and
catch
everything.
up.
But-
You makes you question if you're like, am I?
But
yeah.
we talked about on other aspects of things before, like on the other episodes and stuff. But we haven't talked about it as much as like I think we've changed like socially really quick. Like our parents to their grandparents gap, for example, they were in the same kind of
They rode horses.
no, but like they had the same kind of like if they did something wrong in school, they'd get beaten with a ruler, whatever it is. Like the gap then wasn't that much, but the amount things have changed more and more and more. Like 5 years ago from now, and then 15 years ago from that, and things are getting super crazy even faster and faster. So like when our kids are in school, like when we're putting them through school, like I think we'll be past the phase of being overly sensitive. But we'll be
school-
onto another thing.
I think the idea of school is
maybe not
archaic.
school, but yeah.
But you know what I
we'll
mean.
be
I
onto
think
sales.
education as it is right now is an old concept.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it is for sure.
Like
You have
the way-
curriculums from 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
the same methods, the same everything,
But okay, what you said before as well. Sorry,
the
I
same
forgot to bring it
setup
up.
too, with people, students like.
Sitting towards the
Yeah,
teacher. Or whatever,
exactly.
Yeah. I forgot to say
they
before.
could teach each other actually. things.
Yeah.
We assumed what you said straight away. Like we would be more sensitive, or even now compared to like when our
I
parents
think so.
were in school. But there's all these also a different direction of stuff. Of like you see so much stuff. This is the new thing now, which is like in the past year, you see so much awareness of internet bullying in schools, and it's like a new thing where the kid also is completely, I don't think you would be that
Switched
aware
on.
of it. Like, no, the parents don't see it that much with the kids.
Oh, as
But
much
then
as
a
they
lot of the
do.
kids, like, you see them committing suicide and stuff like that because
Yeah.
they've been socially bullied. And imagine how difficult it is now for kids. Like, you go to school and by the time you're 10, you have an Instagram account and everyone sees all the stuff you're putting up and everyone's trying to be like popular on on Instagram or whatever.
Let's talk about suicide.
Go on then.
Really, really talk about it. Like, it's one of the few things where I think the idea of organized religion saying that, or like at least some organized religion saying that if you kill yourself, you're damning yourself forever, right? I think that's one of the benefits of organized religion in that sense, because you terrorize a child into being scared of hell or being punished if you kill yourself. And then somehow the kid's like, oh, I can't kill myself. Just gotta bear all the brunt of this thing until they are older and, until they can really make the decisions for themselves. Because I feel like, don't get me wrong, I know there's...
yeah,
there's
but
so-
like,
More specifically to kids. Or
yeah,
like
yeah,
kids,
just,
teenagers,
just the idea of suicide itself. I feel like that's one
I
mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people
cases,
who,
of course,
of
religious
kids who
cases.
kill, who
I-
do
I
religious and they
think-
still kill
Yeah, for
themselves.
sure.
So
But I'm just saying, it's like,
I don't think it changes anything
I don't
once you're
think
at
it-
that
oh,
I
really?
don't
at that
think-
point.
I don't think. I agree with him.
Oh,
I
that's
think
interesting. To think that things can get so bad, they'll override your fear
Oh,
yeah, for
of
sure.
damnation.
100%.
Sure.
I mean, to be
I think so.
like...
You heard about that 16-year-old girl who decided to kill herself in the Netherlands
No.
legally?
No.
So she was like, she's
Oh.
like been raped 3 times in her life, and she's tried everything, and she's gone through like psychiatry and all that, and they've approved her decision to euthanize her.
Self-euthanize.
Really?
Yeah, and because she couldn't bear living anymore. There was no point apparently to her, and she made a whole Instagram post, and basically even before that she stopped eating and drinking already, so she was dying.
No way.
Essentially, yeah. So, like, do you think that's something weird that she's decided
So-
this at 16, or they've approved her decision?
Yeah.
I
So
thi-
this is...
I think it's
This is...
weird.
I was going to
I don't
agree.
think I think when humans already agree that life is not worth living, even if you didn't deserve to be born or like didn't want to be born and all of that stuff, which of course I understand. Sometimes you don't want to be born into a rough situation, and I feel like parents should be responsible not to bring kids into a rough situation. But that said, I feel like when you feel like you can I don't know if I'm comfortable with an idea of a world where everyone has a button to press, like has a death
Out,
button,
yeah, now an
Out.
exit plan. Or
permanent out.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
hers.
Hers was extenuating.
Okay,
for
but
Maybe hers is
sure.
something special, obviously.
But
Like,
this... Okay, so...
and she's gone through like maybe trauma that was a crazy trauma that her body is rejecting, or if she can't anymore
So I-
support herself. You know what I mean? Like, those
Yeah.
kids who like,
How much support can you give the person? Yeah, after a while.
yeah,
Do
like
you wanna,
those like refugee kids who like reach their destination, let's say they were supposed to, but going through all that travel and
Wasn't
that
worth
shock.
it.
But
No, they stop eating, right? They reach and they don't eat and they die.
Oh, I've
These
never
kids.
I haven't
heard
heard
of
of that.
Yeah.
But I have like 2 points of this. The one that you said you think it helps a lot, obviously, like organized religion having.
At least in that aspect.
But the thing is, like the first point I have is I agree with Saad. I think, if you're like that committed to it, then I don't think there's much that's gonna like.
To
It's
the idea
really,
of dying, you mean?
It's such a
Killing
drastic
yourself.
thing. I think like it's such a like if you're really really committed, it's. I don't think it's enough to really like it may be, but I don't think it's enough to like.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
for
such
you
a
to
drastic
think it,
thing.
for you to think about it and then actually
Really
go
go ahead
through
with
with
it is
it,
huge.
it's huge.
If
It's
I'm
a
not
big gap.
mistaken,
And the thinking to going through with it is a huge
It's
gap.
massive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
from
it's
that
really,
those
really
two.
huge.
So.
So this is that's actually the second point I was going to make. The second thing I was going to say was you said like you wouldn't be comfortable with people having like a quick exit or whatever. I agree because what you said is exactly right. The gap between like
just for the sake of
thinking about
humanity.
it. No, but not that. The gap
Really?
between
Having a quick
thinking
what?
about it.
Like
No,
if
the-
they have a quick option.
No, but like the gap between thinking about it, I don't think there should be because the gap, like you said, the gap between thinking about it and actually going ahead with it is such a huge.
But if you have a quick
huge
button,
thing. But the problem is, so people will go through phases where they think that they could press
Oh my
that
God, yes.
button and have it out. Having a button would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like having a quick exit plan or
'Cause there's
having
no
a legal
undo.
or whatever. But there's no undo. But I think people go through really, really lows, and they think me and Saad
If we
would
go-
know more about it. Like you hear about like Tyson Fury talks about like the lowest points that he was at and stuff. Like
if we go again through the whole psychological thing, their whole point about depression, at least depression specifically, I'm not talking about trauma, but you could even expand it that way, is that every down, every so-called human suffering, disaster, whatever, prolonged or acute, is another, if you treat yourself as a piece of metal or a piece of glass that's being tempered, made stronger, every time you try to heat the thing under pressure and hit it and hit it and hit it, it makes it stronger, not weaker. So at the point of impact, it's already like, oh my god, you know. But actually, when it cools down, you're a bit stronger. So that's like and that eventually.
Yeah, but that depends, right? Like
Yeah.
it depends on
It
like
really-
how bad is your depression,
Yeah.
right? How bad could it
Well-
actually get if you get like manic depression where it's like
Yeah.
that's the thing.
ongoing,
Like,
and sometimes it gets crazy that you start like losing yourself
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
yeah,
depression.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it goes that intense.
Yeah.
So
But-
people
but-
forget
yeah.
like how intense it could actually get.
Oh, of
That-
course.
that's
Yeah,
the
no,
thing, like,
speaking from experience, it's like something else. It's sad actually, like to think that sometimes some of the best help that a person can get is when they've already started on the healing. And you know what I mean? It feels like sometimes there's a process of like healing that comes from an external source and not from yourself. And then you look back and you're like, I could have been doing this for myself the whole time. But it just
Yeah,
felt
but
like it was
that's-
natural. Like nothing could have happened except the way it did,
but that's like
Yeah.
that's what we were saying. but, like,
positively or negatively. Yeah.
that boxer that I was talking about before, like me and Saad have watched his fights recently. Basically, like he won a few huge fights, and then his now thing he comes back with, which is completely out of the box for like a boxer.
Completely out of the box in what sense?
Like out from a what would you call it? A boxing persona.
Mm-hmm.
He's now coming out in all of his interviews and stuff, openly talking about
Being
his
down.
depression and like
At the
he had
moment
a few
or then?
years. No, now he's like had
It's
Probably
ongoing
a
still, but
year.
he's handling
Yeah.
it better.
and
Tyson.
the way Tyson
Yeah.
Fury is in
What
it, and he
about?
won like a huge. But he had like 2 years. He won a massive fight, and then he had 2 years of like really being.
Binge drinking and
the way he
drugs,
describes it is actually really like you can see how intense it was almost, like the way he describes it and the way he talks about it, you can kind of get like a
Glimpse.
glimpse of what it really was like, because he was like at the
Yeah.
highest side and then it just crashed for him basically. And
And
it's
then-
interesting, it's like it's also interesting that he's openly like
Yeah.
talking about it, because it's not like a boxing persona really. He's supposed to be like
Yeah.
you know,
Mentally
fight
strong
through
and
it,
everything.
mentally strong. And he's like
But this story is him being able to share it through social media and raise awareness for himself, or he's just telling his story, or is it marketing for a coming fight?
It's all of
No.
it. It's all of it.
It's all of it.
It's
but
all
I
of
think
it
it's
for
less-
sure. He's changed his persona as being the troublemaker to whatever into someone that people can
Was
relate
troubled.
to. And yeah, exactly. And people can relate to. Not even is troubled.
Mm.
And so that's fine. But he's also bringing like a big like awareness to the whole thing.
And,
like
like, trying to get
huge
people
awareness,
to-
even especially for combat fighters.
yeah,
Who can
and, like,
openly
trying
talk
to get people
about
to
it.
talk
Especially
about it and
for the macho community.
On the
Macho community, just
Yeah.
a manly
Yeah, exactly.
community. That's
Yeah.
something that guys would never talk about.
Yeah.
And even watching it, they probably won't talk to each other about it. But at least there's a dialogue being
Mm.
made between themselves
And
and,
it's-
what they're
it's-
watching.
it's genuine because he talks
Yeah.
about how he even comes out of it and how he like
yeah.
one day came back after like binge drinking and drugs and everything and just
But that
like,
again is
realized
interesting to
that
see,
he couldn't
you know?
save himself, and so he
Mm.
never really goes and begs.
But it's
He
also
begged God, let's say, to help him.
But it's the same as
Yeah.
what you said. It's like for him, it was the way he talks about it. The way I thought about it again is what you were saying before, which was like now he's looking back, like the only thing that could really pull him out of it was himself dragging himself out of it, basically, like
Yeah.
forcing himself almost. Like,
yeah.
like for him, it was
And
like,
it's so
No, but that's
interesting
actually no. That's
what you
actually
said.
what happened is actually that he realized that he can't do anything anymore. That he needs someone else to help him.
oh really?
Yeah, that's what happened with him.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because
no, no, but I mean,
that's
like-
what that's the, I think the problem is that people are scared to ask for help, and that's the problem
Oh,
with
okay.
depression is that people let it. You can't battle it by yourself. Not always, right?
Mm.
You can't have that.
Yeah, but the first person, right? They say the first step is
to accept. Yeah, but some people can sometimes help you go to that process quicker than you going through it and then failing.
The whole world can scream at you, and you will still think something's wrong with them if you don't accept it first. So even if for example, let's say what Ollie was saying, well, it might not have been actually what Tyson was saying. Tyson, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Nick Fury? I don't know.
Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury. Because what's this Fury? Anyways, it doesn't matter. So like, but what I heard him saying, what gave me chills, was the fact that like, sometimes you look back and like, and you think it's only you who could have done it, but then it feels like you really, even if the only person who could have done it was you, you still feel like I was in no state. It felt like powerless. You know, it felt powerless. It felt like that's why, like, you can have, like Lady Gaga said, you can have 100 people in the room. But like, no, they can have 100 people telling you something. But if you don't respect any of them, their words don't mean anything. But one person you respect, you know, it doesn't have to be your parents necessarily, is so important.
Yeah, I agree.
Or just one person can say it in a nice way or gentle way or be like, care about you, I think you should.
Like something clicks then or something.
Just suddenly like.
Something has to click, I think, for you to even switch your whole mindset.
But my point is
better.
that a person could have done that.
Yeah, I think so.
Catalyzed it, you know?
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
And so some people, like a lot, not some, I think most people don't have that person.
Yeah, or people don't know.
Yet.
People don't know that that's happening to someone, right?
I'm going to take
they're not open about it.
I'm going to take
the whole thing is like...
Yeah, but the person, that supposed magic person can also be sensitive, I think. That's the thing. We don't allow ourselves the capacity to be that person for other people. And then we don't also allow ourselves to see the signs. We don't, like, okay, it would be nice to wait for the magician to come and say, okay, I can heal you, or I care about you, you should heal yourself this way. But if we allow ourselves to suddenly, sorry to interrupt, man, but if we allow ourselves also to suddenly be like, all of these people are saying something or screaming something, or like I'm interacting with them in such a way that annoys me, but instead of saying fuck you all, maybe I take a bit of their attempts to help. If that makes any sense.
Anyway, a lot of the time it's contradictory though, because a lot, like, you hear so much of people. A huge thing is get negative people out of your life. Get negative people out of your life, and people, like, it's common knowledge.
It's
people
good
like
advice.
push them away.
It's good advice,
but at the same time, it's both. It's like a double-edged sword. It's that, but it's also a lot of the time people who are like, maybe like, I don't know, complaining over and over again, or think their things are always down for them and stuff. Yeah, it is for sure for yourself, like selfish reasons. It's good to get people out of their life, but the same thing as what you said. Like sometimes people need like a click. People need like a
but see, for example, like in your example just now, like for example, like if I had a friend who's always complaining to me, and in your head you're like, they're a drain, and so I should take advice of getting negative people out. You're saying that it makes sense to, or it would have been nice if you don't cut them out because you could have been helping them. But maybe the wake up call they need is to realize that they're just
their
complaining.
Friends have left because
they're not helping themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
everything happens for a reason, right?
Exactly.
That's why I believe it's all like a nice puzzle.
It also depends on the person that you're cutting out.
Starving kids. But no, but really, starving kids, because like every time there's an argument, right? Everything happens for a reason, but then you're like, what about the starving kids? But really, how do they equate in? Like, it makes you wonder, like, what's the reason for people to die of disease and starvation and so on? Like, what
benefit is there?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, okay.
I have a slightly different view. I'm almost to the point where it's like everything happens for a reason, which I kind of am, but not in such a blunt way. I'm thinking like,
maybe it isn't black and white,
but I think like once you get to that point, I have a kind of a weird similar view on it. It's like everything happens for a reason. Once you're at that point, everything else, every other option is already out the window anyway. That's the point you're at, and either way, it's either going down or up or straight forward. Like you're going in a certain path, so eventually it will go all the way down and it will get to a very bad end, or it's going to go up and you're going to say, okay, that was all part of the journey. And either way, it's just part of the journey that you're going to go on. So it's the same thing, really. Like, it is everything happens for a reason, but at the end point, it's always like...
So, okay, I hear what you're saying. So, but like,
Your view is everything
No,
happens
no.
for a reason, to a positive point.
No, I get you. Negative or positive, it almost doesn't matter. Because what I'm hearing from your point, and I think I might agree, is that it's all a matter of narrative. It's all a matter of the stories that we hear or the stories we tell ourselves.
More than like the story that you're on. Like once you're like you're like at a point on a map each time, and whether you say everything happens for a reason or like whichever way you look at it, you're only on this specific path anyway.
You can't be caught in fantasy land for a long time anyways, because then you're not living. You can't just always say, oh, it could have been, or should have been, it should have been, or or it will be, and then
it doesn't make a difference either way.
It doesn't matter, because that becomes just a dream of fantasy, right? Yeah. Versus actually what is happening with what is my story? When I die, what are they going to write? Are they going to write anything?
But I kind of like, I say it in the same way that you say it. I never say everything happens for a reason specifically, but I say like things have a way of working themselves out. I say a lot, which I believe in.
See, that's funny.
To who, though? To everyone? Does that apply to everyone?
I think for everyone in their specific... I don't know.
No, but like obviously for us it's so easy to say, because like how bad could it really get, right? And then you have other people who it's already pretty bad. I don't think anything is gonna, like, it's so unlikely for, like the statistics say, like it's so unlikely for them to have anything good in the end of their life. Like they'll only live this length, or they're just
certain demographics.
Yeah, they're born into this poverty that they can't escape.
That's crazy.
But that's their line. I think like that's that's just the journey that some people are on, and I don't think it's like, for them, it's not. They're not thinking every day like, "Oh, this is really shit." Like this.
No,
sucks.
they don't have any time to think,
so
because they're surviving, right?
What you're both saying is true facts, but at the same time, like a part of me is like, the little like screamy, angry, feels the world isn't fair. Part of me is like, how can you say that so casually? Shouldn't we be doing something? Shouldn't we go and like rescue everyone? I mean, shouldn't we? Like not us, but like, as humans,
what are we
be
thinking as rescue?
I mean, we should be, we should try to be doing stuff that somehow.
No, I mean like no, it's not about you. It's not about you, but like to be able to say that some people's lives this is the scope of their lives, and that's just the way it is.
No, but we're only thinking about it financially at the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, no. I agree with you completely. What I mean is like, statistically, there are some people whose belt of existence, by probability, by number, is that, born into a certain area, can move maybe two neighborhoods away, die in this area.
But it's not I don't think the life,
the happiness
or life or anything, no. Like quality of their own life.
I mean, okay, fair enough. Now, if you talk about quality of life and happiness, maybe that's on a different scale. But if we equate a bit of financial mobility with some income and everything, there is a bit of a link, I would argue.
But
for sure, I think if you don't have to worry about just surviving,
eating, right,
you're able to actually do something with your life, or think about something else and be useful to the world.
Freedom to think.
Yeah, and actually, like, these people could be like geniuses that we're losing, but just because all their worries are
poverty.
Poverty. They just need to eat. Like, they can't even think, or there's no time to even like learn. They just stop learning, and all they have to do is survive. And then what's their chances?
Yeah, non-existent. That's my thing. It's like to think that there are some people born into like not,
extreme poverty.
But it would help. Like, I would honestly, like, I'm not even just saying it for the sake of saying it. It would be, I would like, it's maybe like you said, it's like maybe a sadistic way to think about it, but I would like to know what that feels like. Really, like, not forever, but like really understand what it's like, because it could go either way. You could be like, I mean, because what, like, we're talking about like specific thing here. Like, if you go away from it, like this is a big extreme. But if you think about surviving as like, you're a fisherman, you catch your own food, you get your food every day.
That's
and
even
like,
different, actually, right?
But that's like, why?
That's even better.
That's better, yeah.
But it's a strange thing. Like, it's a super basic lifestyle. For me, I'm like, if I think worst case scenario, right? You think like you're homeless, whatever. Like, think worst case. Like, if you had the knowledge of like being able to catch a fish and make a shelter and stuff and live a basic life, really, really basic, minimal life, like you maybe wouldn't be like unhappy. It's maybe not a bad quality of life or whatever. Like you could have a
wrong.
No,
very basic.
that's a good life. I think the people who have probably the worst type of lives are not the ones in the villages. Probably the ones in the city who don't have anything and living on the streets are probably like...
Yeah, but that's
'cause you
what
can't,
I
like-
almost want to understand, to be honest. Like, I would like to... It's hard for us, to be honest. Like,
it's
we're almost
crazy. You
naive to
can't-
it.
Yeah,
like, it would be
for us
almost...
to be even talking about it like this,
It's
it's
bad.
weird.
It's
yeah.
But that's the
yeah.
thing. It feels like I don't.
But wouldn't you want to understand? Wouldn't you want to be like, what is it like? What's it really like? The struggles of like having to get like 2-3 jobs and like having to take care of multiple other people.
I mean, the only way would probably to actually volunteer for one of these things.
even that wouldn't do it. I think.
I mean,
'Cause-
that would bring you closer to it, though.
but I think the big difference
depends
is.
how you do it.
I think like the struggle of knowing, like for me, I thought about this like the last couple of years a lot, and then like the safety line I think is the big one. Like if you cut your safety rope, that feeling of like automatic cutting that
Yeah.
like the rest of that, if you fall,
It's
you're
a new
falling.
benchmark.
That's the
It's a
I think
new
like,
negative
but like
benchmark or
that
whatever.
it's the difference of like that security line. Like say you're like rock climbing and you
And
have
the-
a safety rope. If you fall, you're gonna fall and something's gonna catch
And
you.
the worst, that's the worst, not the worst. Another way of thinking of it is actually also like if someone can give you the illusion that your security blanket is completely gone, and you deep down know that,
Mm.
but the world cares about you so much that there actually is a security blanket, and that somehow you know that still, and you will never lose that hope. But not like, what I'm trying to say is like, that's what despair is. Despair is not ultimately believing or knowing that there is something
It's
there.
gonna catch you or something.
Yeah, that's
this
like
is-
real despair.
But this is the
And
thing
then
as
you
well,
can
like,
empathize in, you know, like real despair is knowing if I fall, I'm dead. That's it. There's nothing.
because ideally, like it's a funny thing. Like if you think about having kids, right? Parents should want. Say you have like crazy rich parents. Like they should want the kid to like almost grow up without knowing that, right? In a perfect world, like
Yeah.
you would want them to feel like, hey, if you
It's
screw
recipe
up,
for
like
disaster. That
really.
I think so. Yeah, raising your kid without knowing suffering is disaster.
No. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I thought you meant the opposite, like
No.
tricking them to think that they, you know, I'm thinking if I have kids,
Yeah,
it would
because
be
when-
like you
because-
almost want them to think that they don't have a safety
Because
blanket.
God forbid, like anything happens to you or them or their finances, or they get hit, or like for example, now they reach their that family that was always raised perfectly. The world's gonna impinge on them anyways, even if not just from the films they hear or the stories of their friends who are less fortunate or like whatever. The world always finds a way to make you humble.
Mm.
The world always finds a way. You know, you can be the type that's about to like.
This
be-
is the same point, right? Like the things have a way of
yeah, evening out. Yeah,
evening
always.
out,
Always,
working
always,
out,
always.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, I believe in that. Yeah, for sure.
Like, you know,
it's a weird thing
Yeah.
because like I'm like Issa probably knows, the last person to just throw myself into like this is a general idea of like things will work out, whatever.
Mm.
Like I'm very
not
black and white.
not optimist. You mean
Not about optimistic or pessimistic, just like without having concrete, like this is why this result's gonna happen or whatever, you know, like
you like
things will-
having figures
Yeah.
and facts behind. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important actually.
but with this, like things will work themselves out. I don't know, I have a weird
That's the
like
thing.
the one for me. Like I'm like I kind of think
This is
like
yeah.
the worst case scenario for me, I'm like it can always, I don't know, like I have a weird way to think about it, I suppose. Like
Maybe because it happened before in the past where you're like, you think things are going wrong and then something,
yeah,
Corrects
and you
it.
realize it,
and
yeah,
you're like, oh, it happened
Something
a few
corrects it,
times. Something
or-
would always
or
come around. you
even
know?
the times when it gets worse, you can think shit, it can always get worse as well, and you can think it can always get a lot worse. And
Yeah.
when things get better, it's like, you know,
You forget about all that.
yeah,
godsend, literally.
Mm.
It's the nicest, you know, serendipity and so on and so forth. No, it's like
you rolled your eyes yourself again.
no, because it feels like a given sometimes, and I feel like it's ironic because like life itself can show you that it's good when you at least in my personal experience, but then things happen. That's obviously life as well, and you're like, oh, why is it happening just to me? Or like, you know, you self-victimize. And at least in my experience, I flip-flopped from feeling everything will work out always to why can't I just get a break, you know?
Yeah.
But to be fair, I personally lean towards the more of the
Optimistic side.
yeah, everything works out for me. But
it's better to think of things like that.
Yeah.
All right, we should wrap up.
Wrapping paper.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man.
We didn't get enough. The only thing we didn't get enough of is
Saad. One more Saad episode. 8 more Saad episodes.
We didn't get enough of Saad, but we also didn't get enough of like why you're the way that you are. No.
Yeah.
Trials and tribulations of growing up with Issa.
Is there anything you could tell story-wise that I wouldn't have known? Like impressions of growing up with me.
That you wouldn't have known.
Like that might shock me actually hearing now.
How he wouldn't think that they'd shock you though, I guess.
Well, that's what I'm asking him if he thinks they would shock me.
I don't know actually.
Well, you're asking for gossip on yourself.
Yes.
Basically.
Like, no, not just goss, but yeah, like, what's the tea? No, but like yeah, I guess I don't know.
In what way? Like
28 years, 26 years, right? You would think.
Okay, I've got a couple. Before we wrap up, then.
Go on.
Do you think Issa's personality has changed a lot from when he's
I'm interested in that.
13 or like an adolescence, or like have you seen him change a lot as a person?
More or less the same person.
So we talked about this a while ago as well, of like his big thing. One of his stages that I was talking about was his personality types and stuff that he was super into for a while.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Enneagrams.
He said like a person is a person at the core, basically, was what we got to at some point. But do you think he's changed a lot?
Yeah, I mean, like he's changed a lot, but you still have that core thing. I do believe in it. That
really?
It still sticks. Yeah, you're kind of somewhat the same.
Yeah.
And then your ideas about everything just changes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you like grow as a person or whatever.
You do grow as a person, but usually you still react to certain things in the same way, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I can see it as soon as you mentioned it, like as soon as you were just talking just now, I remembered like our dynamic always has been this, like I'd be enthusiastic about something and I'd share it to you and you'd be listening and then you'd be giving your side of it, you know. It was quite peaceful as a dynamic. Like
yeah,
I bring you these bring you these things I'm finding out. I'm like, oh, I like these things.
But
which I enjoy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys are completely different as well. Like they'll probably hear it from the podcast, but like Saad's obviously like I don't think he gets as like explosively excited about stuff, and he's like a lot more chilled out about stuff. Like when you have they'll probably hear like an idea about something, it's like straight out
word
information.
vomit.
Yeah. Saad has like general ideas. He's like, this is kind of what I think. Go with it. Run with it. Whatever.
Yeah. And this is one of those things that I'm actually always interested about. Not only just with my brother, like or not only with you, but like the whole idea of introverted versus extroverted.
Yeah, I think it changes.
But
you can't be one. Well, I don't think you could be just one for a long time, right? It must be exhausting. So just
after a while,
to be like completely introverted or to be completely extroverted. It must be tiring.
I think it must be tiring.
Yeah.
I get you.
I get
like
you.
The day internal
how,
pressure and then external tiring.
I think I understand.
Yeah, I think it's like a balancing act. So some days maybe you feel a bit more introverted, and then.
But in scenarios, well, like there's some stuff for you that you're like really confident in scenarios about, right? And then in some situations you're like not bothered or would rather not be in certain situations and stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I ride energy waves.
Don't you feel the same way?
Same way. And I think like, what did you last say? Issa's last, I had to go back. Issa's last comment was, I ride energy waves.
You just surf the waves.
I surf the waves, really. It's like I'm so mood based. Like I feel like I'm only myself when I'm with people I'm close to. But I mean, obviously everyone is.
Yeah,
like,
I think
you're very reactive. Like you show moods a lot as well. Like if like people have coffee, I'll feel different like from having a coffee.
But you
or
will not
whatever,
show it.
but I don't show that much. Like Saad similar. Like he'll have a coffee and he'll be like, not a big show. East will have a coffee. It's like I'm fucking hitting the roof now. Like, he'll really show it.
My
And he'll be upset. He's like, I'm mad.
My caffeine levels are spiking.
yeah. He's like a robot. Like my caffeine levels are 10 at the moment, and then he's like, this is my sad level. I'm a 1.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
But you show emotion a lot.
Yeah, but I think that's what I've been working on. Like now is not to not show emotion, but like to
Be less emotic.
to be more myself with people I don't know.
That's interesting because
it's not so easy to
Be yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, because
You're
Yeah.
worried. Yeah, it's a fear.
yeah, because sometimes being yourself is also can make situations more complicated.
Exactly.
yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're too yourself and you're too comfortable, like, you're like fine not talking to some people. Let's
But
say.
I think I get what you're saying.
I think also like at some point it's I don't know, like better and worse is a weird words to use, but the more you can be yourself with everyone, I think is almost a good quality. Because some people
better,
you see with like really, really, really drastic different between different people, you're like,
That's
what
not
the fuck? Like that's not even the same person. Like they're not even the same
No, but
type of person.
that's really weird, by the way.
That's really strange.
That's really
but it happens
strange,
a
yeah.
lot. Like
Like
especially
you're somehow yourself, but obviously you have to act according to the situation. Not, you know what I mean?
but to some extent. And I
To
think,
some
like,
extent, yeah.
I
yeah.
get caught with it a little bit. Like catch myself doing it a little bit, and I'm like, don't do that. Like you're being an asshole. But like when I went to LA for a few months that time, like I was there for like 3 months, and you meet so many different people, and they all have this weird way of like going with some groups, and they'll be a completely different person. Then they'll hang out with like, you'll see them with different people. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, this is a different person completely.
That's so weird you said that, because actually there is some people like, and I think it's like when they're like from LA, let's say, and they're just used to jumping from group to group, and you have to fit in that clique or whatever, that subgroup that they're in.
their persona shifts.
Yeah,
Too much.
and just to match, because so in the UK, what I realized is that the people who fit in better with the British people are the ones who change their accent. It's not about your skin color. It's not about anything. It's actually how you talk and how you act.
If they can understand
It's
you.
weird.
Yeah, exactly. If they're like, if they can see like, oh, you're
Talk
not the
slang
English
or
guy.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You talk the way they talk, you fit in immediately.
it's
the
weird.
moment you don't do that,
Yeah.
you see the struggle. You see the people.
That's
Do you know,
interesting. 'cause
I have
I
a
hear what
really-
you're saying, but I don't know. I've never
So
noticed it.
I have a really weird
I was
point
fine
towards
in
this.
America, at least.
But in
Yeah,
England,
because
it's
I
a
think in
specific
America,
thing.
maybe you sound American. It's easy to have different
Yeah.
types of American accents,
It
right?
merges a
Oh, that
bit.
distresses me to think.
But in
No,
the
but
UK, people have specific
accents.
accents,
Yeah.
like English accent,
And
like
Some are hard to understand. So it's weird that he says this because we were just in Turkey and there's one specific place that we were in and none of the guys have ever been. Like they'll say, I have never been to England. But the accent is like that over the top,
English.
hard English slang. Like I'm like, huh? You can tell they're like speaking that like
yeah.
really
And they've never
strong-
been to the-
They've never been to the UK.
Where
and
did they
they're
get
like-
it from?
They say that they have so many tourists that they kind of pick it up, but they try to put it on to look relatable for the British tourists.
That's
there.
cool, though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and it's half a joke. Like you can tell they're putting it on, but it's like they put it on so much that that's
And
the
you
accent,
and you
and you're like,
it's not
how have you
naturally
picked this
anymore.
up? Like this is definitely not Turkish. They're like,
yeah.
they'll be like, all right, mate, and you're like, where have you got this from? Like where? And, they
That's
got, and like you
funny,
talk to them, and I'm
And they're
obviously
what?
not like
They're Greeks.
they're like Turkish.
Oh, they're Turkish.
Yeah, and this one specific like area that a lot of British tourists go,
That's
and
funny.
like
Basically, like a Cockney.
yeah, and like you're
Like-
talking like I'm never like, oh, have you been to the UK or like where have you got your accent from?
Hello, pet.
But sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I've never been there, but like and you're like, how? Where is this coming from then? Like this is Turkey.
That's funny.
It's not even close. All right,
Okay.
we're gonna wrap up. Thanks, Saad.
All right.
Thank you, man.
guys.
Cheers.
Catch you around. Bye.